twilight bleeds across ancient brick and whispers crawl from forgotten graves. A chill knot of the air can touch your skin. You feel it, don't you? That subtle tug, a beckoning from the shadows of history. In Delaware, though, the past isn't merely remembered, it lingers, a silent specter in grand mansions, colonial courthouses, and windswept coastlines. Join us as we step beyond the veil into the chilling echoes of those who refuse to rest. Are you brave enough to listen? 15. Caesar Rodney High School, Camden-Wyoming, Delaware. As the final bell's echo dies and the last locker clangs shut, an unnatural hush descends upon Caesar Rodney High School. Here, amidst the lingering scent of forgotten textbooks and the ghost of teenage laughter, an inexplicable chill creeps along the deserted halls, a cold touch of an unseen hand. It is said that a former student, forever bound to these hallowed grounds, still roams the very corridors they once walked. Teachers and janitors, those few souls brave enough to linger after twilight, speak of fleeting shadows that dance beyond reason in the periphery, a sudden dip in temperature that bites sharper than any winter draft, and the unsettling sensation of being watched from behind empty classroom doors. Imagine the vast, empty auditorium, bathed in the moon's cold, indifferent glow. A canvas for spectral performance. A faint, almost imperceptible whisper might carry on the unseen currents. A phantom rustle of programs in a spectral audience. On the stage, where triumphs and heartbreaks once unfolded under bright lights. A solitary, translucent figure is sometimes glimpsed, gliding across the boards, perhaps rehearsing a scene forever lost to memory, or searching for applause that will never come. The contrast is stark and unsettling, the vibrant energy of youth frozen in time, juxtaposed with the mournful, eternal presence of a spirit trapped in an endless school day, unable to move on from its scholastic routines. The very air itself seems heavy with an unspoken melancholy, a perpetual longing that clings to every desk and every faded bulletin board. A sudden gust of wind, though all windows are sealed, may stir a curtain or rattle a loose pane, mimicking a sigh. This isn't merely a place of learning, it's a crucible of unfinished stories, a monument to a past that refuses to stay buried. An invisible whisper might drift from an empty classroom, leaving a lingering question in its wake: what tether keeps a young soul bound to these brick walls? Forever a student lost in the echoing corridors of time as the silence deepens. One can almost feel the cold, watchful gaze of unseen eyes, patiently waiting for the next class, the next lesson, the next haunting. Yet even the quiet dread of a haunted school pales against the weighty specter of justice, where the echoes of legal battles and human fate still resonate within ancient stone walls. 14. Kent County Courthouse, Dover, Delaware. Under the towering Buena, the weathered stone arches of the Kent County Courthouse, where the scales of justice have swayed for centuries, a different kind of chill often descends, one that bites deeper than any winter draft. This isn't merely the cold embrace of history, it's the sudden, inexplicable drop in temperature, the hair-raising awareness of an unseen presence, a ghost of judgment lingering in halls where countless fates were sealed. Employees, steeped in the building's heavy atmosphere, speak of an unsettling watchfulness, a persistent, silent gaze that follows them through empty corridors after hours. Even when no living soul is in sight, the very air within these hallowed, yet haunted chambers feels dense, saturated with the weight of decisions made and lives irrevocably altered. One might feel a brush against their arm, a fleeting, cold touch on the nape of their neck, only to turn and find nothing but the echoing silence of the courthouse. Shadows, already long and imposing, seem to deepen and shift with an unnatural life of their own, coiling in corners like ancient secrets waiting to be unearthed. Perhaps it is the souls of the accused, forever bound by their sentences, or the specters of wronged petitioners, still seeking a justice that never came. Their whispers, woven into the very fabric of the old walls, are too faint to discern, yet potent enough to stir a primal dread. The grand, empty courtrooms, where impassioned arguments once determined freedom or despair, now stand as silent witnesses to these spectral dramas. The heavy oak doors occasionally creaking as if pushed by an unseen hand. The legal tomes on the shelves, undisturbed for decades, seem to radiate an unseen energy, charged with untold stories of human frailty and consequence. A cold, silent gaze seems to fix upon you from a darkened corner, a haunting presence that forever observes the unfolding theater of justice, or perhaps remains perpetually shackled by the immutable decrees of a bygone era. The air thins, leaving a lingering question: what unresolved plea, what unfulfilled sentence still binds these silent witnesses to stone and gavel? Yet, even within these weighty halls of earthly judgment, a deeper, more ancient sorrow whispers from hallowed ground, where silent stones mark eternal rest, and the very wind carries secrets from forgotten graves. 13. Old Drawyers Church. Odessa, Delaware, between the gnarled, skeletal arms of ancient oaks and the somber sprawl of moss-covered gravestones. Old Drawyers Church stands as a silent stone sentinel, a place where whispers do not come from the passing wind. Its aged bricks, stained with centuries of sun and shadow, hold more than just history. They hold the echoes of forgotten prayers and the restless stirrings of those long buried in its hallowed, yet haunted, earth. Visitors report a palpable sense of observation, a chill that prickles the skin even on a warm afternoon, as if scores of unseen eyes watch their every move from behind crumbling markers. The air is often heavy with an unidentifiable scent, perhaps the faint ghost of decaying flowers, or the metallic tang of old blood, a subtle miasma of forgotten grief. As dusk settles, the true nature of Old Drawyers reveals itself. Faint, disembodied murmurs drift through the graveyard, almost like conversations carried on the faintest breeze, just beyond the grasp of understanding. Are these the silent lamentations of long-departed congregants? Or perhaps the ethereal gossip of souls forever bound to this sacred ground? Shadows stretch and deepen, taking on fleeting, human-like forms that flit between the weather-beaten stones, only to vanish as quickly as they appear. One might swear they see a figure kneeling by a grave, or a pair of eyes staring from the gloom of the church's ancient doorway, before dissolving into the encroaching darkness. The very silence here is not empty, but rather a profound, expectant hush, punctuated by the rustle of unseen movement or the barely audible sigh that seems to emanate from the very earth itself. It is a place where the barrier between worlds feels impossibly thin, a spectral crossroads where the living and the long-dead walk parallel paths. A prayer, perhaps, left unfinished in the long-forgotten night, still hangs in the air. A silent plea for peace that never came. A soul, eternally wandering among the cold, unyielding stones, forever seeks a solace that eludes them. Yet not all who linger do so in quiet despair, for even in places of hallowed rest, there are whispers of revolution and spirits unwilling to lay down their arms, still clinking ghostly glasses in taverns of old. 12. The Golden Fleece Tavern. Dover, Delaware. The flickering firelight in the ancient hearth of the Golden Fleece Tavern still seems to hold the warmth of ages past. Yet the disembodied sounds that echo in the dead of night tell a story steeped in the grim colors of war. This historic public house, with its time-worn beams and floors groaning under the weight of centuries, is said to be a spectral gathering place for the ghosts of Revolutionary War soldiers, forever bound to their last earthly haunt. As shadows lengthen and the last patron departs and a profound chill descends, not from an open window, but from the palpable presence of unseen company, their silent ranks swelling in the empty space. Enter the tavern after closing, and you might hear it the faint metallic clink of unseen pewter mugs, the heavy, deliberate bootsteps on the worn wooden floorboards above an empty room, or the hushed, urgent murmur of voices emanating from the tavern's secluded back parlors, as if a clandestine military strategy session is still underway. Patrons and staff have frequently reported sudden, inexplicable drafts that whip through sealed rooms, ruffling unnoticed curtains, and the distinct acrid scent of gunpowder or long-extinguished pipe tobacco. Long after any living smoker has departed, these are not mere residual echoes, but active, conscious presences, spirits caught in a timeless loop of their former lives, their whispered conversations and anxieties from a bygone era rippling into our own. The very air seems to vibrate with the unresolved tension of battles fought and futures lost. A living tapestry woven from the threads of history and lingering despair, where past doesn't just inform the present, but actively inhabits it, refusing to be relegated to memory. A glass of ale, perhaps, left forever undrunk upon a polished bar, a vow of battle, eternally unfulfilled, forever reverberates within these decaying walls, awaiting a war that never truly ends. Yet the restless dead are not always found in the solemn clinking of phantom tankards. Some are drawn to the wild, mournful call of the sea, still keeping their lonely vigil over treacherous shores, long after their last heroic breath. 11. Indian River Life-Saving Station, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, along the desolate stretch of Rehoboth Beach, where the restless Atlantic whispers its ancient secrets. The Indian River Life-Saving Station stands sentinel under the pale, indifferent moon. It is a lonely beacon of weathered wood and grim determination, a place where the very air tastes of salt and sorrow, and the departed souls of the sea's brave guardians are said to still walk their eternal watch. Here, the boundary between duty and eternity blurs, as if the fierce storms that once lashed these shores also tore a rift in the fabric of time, allowing the selfless to persist beyond the grave. Step inside its creaking or hollow halls when the tide is low and the fog rolls in thick from the ocean, and you might hear it the heavy, purposeful tread of unseen boots echoing on the polished cypress floorboards of the empty boatroom, a rhythm that suggests urgent preparedness even in stillness. Witnesses, from bewildered tourists to seasoned staff, recount fleeting, translucent figures gliding past the tall, sea-facing windows, their silhouettes stark against the churning gray of the waves, perpetually scanning the horizon for phantom ships in distress. These are the spectral surfmen, eternally vigilant, their spectral eyes fixed on the unpredictable vastness, their sacrifice etched into the very timbers of the station. The scent of brine and old oil often fills the air, mingled with an inexplicable chill that clings to your bones, a stark reminder of the frigid waters and the countless lives they sought to save, even at the cost of their own. They are forever bound to their sacred oath, silent protectors against the ocean's unending hunger, their presence a perpetual thought, mournful testament to duty unfulfilled and lives unendingly dedicated. A ghostly foghorn, heard only by those attuned to the spectral currents, might keen its mournful warning into the deep night. A siren call from the other side, forever reminding us of the sea's relentless danger and the souls irrevocably tethered to their ancient oath of protection. But what happens when a soul's only tie is to the very structure it once called home? Its presence a constant, unseen observation. 10. Bell House, Newark, Delaware. The oldest house in Newark, the venerable Bell House, whispers tales not only of centuries past but of an eternal mistress who still claims its hallowed halls as her own, a spectral guardian trapped by the very foundation she once walked. Here, the scent of aged wood and dust often mingles with a faint, unidentifiable perfume, a ghostly signature of the lady who refuses to depart, her presence a constant, unseen observation that chills deeper than any winter draft. This isn't merely a historical landmark. It's a living, breathing testament to a life that refused to end, a soul inextricably interwoven with the very fabric of the structure. Visitors and caretakers alike have reported fleeting, unsettling glimpses of a woman's form, a quick blur in the polished surfaces of old mirrors, or a shadow that lengthens unnaturally in an empty room, only to vanish when directly confronted. It's as if she still moves through her daily routines, a silent proprietor inspecting her domain. More unnerving still are the subtle, intimate disturbances, the distinct sensation of an icy brush against the skin in an otherwise warm room, or a phantom pressure, like a hand gently resting on a shoulder when no one is near. Then there are the sounds, faint, deliberate taps from an unseen source, the delicate clinking of unseen porcelain, or the distinct rustle of forgotten silk echoing from an upper story, as if a spectral dinner party is perpetually underway, presided over by its spectral hostess. Each phenomenon reinforces the profound, possessive attachment this spectral woman has to her abode, as though the very walls are an extension of her enduring will, and she, the house's perpetual, watchful heart. A fleeting shadow caught in the corner of an old, wavy pane, a barely audible sigh lost to the draft, as if the eternal mistress of Bell House silently observes those who dare to trespass upon her enduring domain. But what if a grander stage, a more opulent setting, holds even more distinguished and restless spirits, forever bound to their ancestral wealth and power? 9. Buena Vista Mansion, New Castle, Delaware. The Buena Vista Mansion, once the opulent domain of Senator John M. Clayton, now stands as a grand, silent curtain, behind which the historical spirits of its past inhabitants still convene, hosting spectral gatherings in rooms that shimmer with residual elegance. Within its stately walls, where whispers of power and prestige once echoed, a profound chill often descends without warning, cutting through the air like a phantom blade, even on the warmest days. Objects, carefully placed for display, are sometimes found subtly shifted, a chair slightly askew, a book ajar on a shelf, hinting at an unseen presence that continues its routines. Staff and visitors have spoken of faint, inexplicable sounds, the distant clink of unseen teacups from an empty drawing room, the rustle of forgotten silk in a grand ballroom, or the soft murmur of conversations that drift from vacant hallways, as if a perpetual to invisible soiree is unfolding. These aren't the boisterous echoes of a past fate, but rather the quiet, persistent hum of lives unwilling to relinquish their former splendor, their spectral forms still presiding over a domain they painstakingly built. The wealth and influence of the Clayton family seem to have imbued the very structure with an enduring energy. binding these distinguished specters to the elegant confines of their earthly power, forever trapped in a tableau of faded glory and endless politesse. The faint and spectral clink of unseen teacups, a momentary shadow like a phantom wave from the darkness, suggests the former masters still extend a silent invitation, beckoning you to join an endless, ethereal soiree. But what if a spirit's attachment is not to grand halls, but to the simpler, more intimate confines of a very old house, where centuries of life and death have left their indelible mark? 8. Lewes Historical Society Ryves Holt House, Lewes, Delaware. Step across the threshold of the Ryves Holt House, and you step not merely into Delaware's oldest known dwelling, but into a living chronicle of lingering souls. Here, amidst the settling dust and the creak of ancient timbers, centuries of life and death have left an indelible mark, each worn floorboard and hand-hewn beam whispering secrets to the passing wind. The air within this venerable structure often thickens with a heavy, unseen presence, a palpable weight of time that presses down on visitors and staff alike, evoking a profound sense of colonial unease. Reports from those who have dared to linger within its walls paint a consistent picture of the abnormal. Unseen footsteps, slow and deliberate, are frequently heard ascending and descending staircases where no living soul stands. Doors, despite being securely latched, have been known to open on their own accord, swinging inward as if inviting a forgotten guest to re-enter. Fleeting shadows, quick as a breath, dart across windows and through dimly lit hallways. Elusive and enigmatic, some have even claimed to feel the brush of an unseen hand, a cold touch that lingers just a moment too long, a phantom greeting from an era long past. It is as if the very essence of those who once called this place home remains trapped, forever bound to their routines, their daily lives replayed in an endless, spectral loop. The sorrow, the joy, the daily struggles of generations past are deeply ingrained, their energies coalescing into a persistent, chilling symphony of the supernatural. This house is more than just a museum. It is a sentinel of the past, holding vigil over its phantom inhabitants. A door, once firmly closed, creaks open in the dead of night, a long, drawn-out sigh echoing from the very stones of the past, forever reminding us that this house, though standing in the present, truly belongs to those who walked its floors eons ago. Yet, what if the echoes of dedication and a life's passion refuse to fade, persisting in a place of grander performances, where the stage lights flicker to an unseen hand? 7. Smyrna Opera House, Smyrna, Delaware. The velvet curtains of the Smyrna Opera House may be drawn, and the last echoes of applause long faded, but the stage is far from empty. Here, amidst the gilded proscenium and rows of silent seats, an eternal manager still oversees every performance, a spectral conductor of unseen drama, orchestrating the very air from beyond the veil. It is said that the spirit of a dedicated former manager, whose passion for the theater consumed his waking life, refuses to abandon his beloved post, forever tethered to the creaking floorboards and whispering rafters. Visitors and staff frequently report unsettling phenomena that hint at his diligent, if ghostly, presence. Lights, once extinguished, flicker back to life as if on cue for an unseen act, bathing the empty stage in an eerie glow before plunging back into darkness. Phantom footsteps echo on the dusty boards of the stage and traverse the silent aisles. A slow, measured pace that suggests a supervisor checking every detail before a show that never begins. Strange, unidentifiable sounds drift from the shadowy wings or the deserted backstage areas, a rustle of imaginary programs, the faint clearing of a spectral throat, or the soft click of an absent switch. there's a palpable sense of being watched from the darkest corners, a scrutinizing gaze from an invisible critic who still demands perfection. This dedicated specter seems to hold the theater's very essence in his spectral hands, ensuring that even in silence, the show, in some form, must always go on. A gentle sway of the heavy velvet curtain, a hushed, knowing chuckle resonating through the darkened hall, leaves one to wonder if the grand performance continues, directed by an invisible hand, for an audience that never truly leaves. Yet, what if the lingering spirit is not a meticulous showman, but a playful child, finding amusement in the forgotten artifacts of a different kind of history? 6. Delaware Agricultural Museum, Dover. Delaware, beneath the somber gaze of antique farming implements and the faint scent of aged wood and forgotten harvest, the Delaware Agricultural Museum stands not merely as a repository of the past, but as a whimsical yet unsettling zoo playground for a mischievous spectral child. The very air seems to hum with an unexpected, almost joyful energy that belies the museum's serious historical purpose, a stark contrast to the quiet reverence usually afforded to relics of bygone eras. This museum, typically dedicated to preserving the agricultural heritage of Delaware, is instead famous for its unseen, pint-sized resident, the ghost of a little girl in whose playful antics are a common, chilling occurrence. Staff and visitors alike have recounted instances where objects, from small farming tools to exhibits meant to be securely displayed, have been mysteriously shifted or toppled, as if a child's invisible hand delights in rearranging the order of the museum. The most unnerving experiences involve the faint, echoing sound of giggles, seemingly emanating from empty rooms or deserted corridors, a sound that is both innocent and deeply unsettling when no living child is present. There are tales of a gentle tug on clothing, a fleeting touch on a hand, or the distinct impression of a small shadow flitting just out of sight, playful interactions from a spirit eternally stuck in childhood. Her presence, while not overtly malevolent, weaves a peculiar thread of unease through the exhibits, a perpetual game of hide-and-seek with the living, reminding everyone that even history's most solemn halls can hold the most unexpected and most persistent residents. A tiny wooden toy found gently displaced on a shelf, a whisper of unseen laughter lingering in the quiet, serves as a poignant, eerie reminder that not all spectral residents are bound by sorrow or fury. Some merely wish to play, their eternal innocence a chilling counterpoint to the weight of time, forever trapped in an endless game among the silent relics. Yet, what if the lingering spirits are not playful, but rather the tormented echoes of justice miscarried, forever bound to the solemn halls where their fates were sealed? 5. Old Newcastle Courthouse Museum, Newcastle, Delaware, within the hallowed yet haunted halls of the old Newcastle Courthouse Museum, where justice once rendered its solemn verdicts and cries of the condemned echoed through stone, an invisible jury of the past still convenes. Stepping through its historic doors is to walk into a chilling tableau where the weight of centuries-old judgments presses down like an invisible gavel. This isn't merely a museum. It's a crucible of colonial unease, a place where the tormented echoes of prisoners and the stern visages of judges linger. Visitors and staff frequently report sharp, inexplicable drops in temperature that pierce even the warmest days, often accompanied by the distinct, unsettling sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. In the dimly lit former jail cells, the silence is often broken by faint, disembodied whispers, murmuring words that are just beyond comprehension, like ghostly defendants pleading their cases across the veil of time. Some have claimed to hear the mournful clinking of invisible chains, a spectral reminder of the harsh realities of colonial justice and the desperate plights of those who languished within these very walls. Their freedom forfeited, their lives perhaps unjustly ended. Each creak of the old floorboards, each shadow clinging to the ancient wood, seems to whisper tales of tragic fates and unresolved pleas, imprinting the very air with a sense of lingering despair and unanswered grievances. The invisible shackles of colonial justice still rattle in the darkness, a verdict yet unfulfilled, forever binding these souls to the very place where their destinies were irrevocably sealed. Yet, what if the echoes of justice are overshadowed by the grander, yet equally chilling, secrets held within the elegant walls of power, where a spectral lady in white still guards her timeless domain? For Woodburn Mansion, Dover, Delaware, nestled amidst ancient trees. The stately Woodburn Mansion, official residence of Delaware's governors, stands as a pillar of political power, yet within its elegant walls, the hushed echoes of history intertwine with a chilling, persistent presence. Here, the weight of centuries-old decisions is often overshadowed by the silent surveillance of its most famous resident, the enigmatic Lady in White, a spectral guardian whose ethereal form drifts through the grand chambers and across polished floors. This isn't just a house. It's a living repository of unresolved elegance and quiet dread, where the dignified air is frequently pierced by the cold breath of an unseen world. Reports from staff and residents speak of more than mere drafts in the venerable home. Unexplained footsteps echo down deserted staircases, their rhythm too light, too fleeting, to belong to the living. Objects have been known to subtly shift from their places, as if an invisible hand has tidied a forgotten detail or reordered a memory. Sudden, profound drops in temperature can transform a sunlit room into a chamber of ice, signaling a fleeting intrusion from the other side. But it is the Lady in White who truly defines Woodburn's spectral narrative, a silent, sorrowful figure glimpsed in fleeting shadows or felt as an undeniable presence. Her motivations as mysterious as the rustle of an invisible gown. She is a timeless host, a silent witness to countless political discussions and private moments, perhaps forever bound to the mansion by some forgotten tragedy, or an unyielding devotion to her former abode. A pale shadow glides past an antique window. A sigh escapes from an empty room, forever confirming her role as the silent, enigmatic guardian of a powerful, yet profoundly haunted home. But if Woodburn's elegant halls conceal a solitary, spectral sentinel, what untold family sagas linger within another grand estate, where the very stones whisper of its original inhabitants refusing to truly depart? 3. Rockwood Museum and Park, Wilmington. Delaware under the brooding Delaware sky. The Gothic revival architecture of Rockwood Mansion stands, a monument not just to stone and mortar, but to the spectral echoes of the family who built it. Here, the very air hums with the memory of its original inhabitants. Souls seemingly unwilling to relinquish their grand estate, their forms woven into the fabric of the sprawling grounds. Step inside, and the opulent stillness is often broken by more than just creaking wood. Visitors and staff alike speak of inexplicable phenomena, objects once carefully arranged, found subtly shifted, as if a restless hand still tidied the drawing room. Doors swing open or shut with no visible draft, ushering in cold pockets of air that taste of forgotten time. Ghostly figures, indistinct and translucent, are said to glide through the grand halls, vanishing into ornate tapestries or around corners, forever caught in a loop of their former lives. These are believed to be the original Shipley family members, forever bound to their beloved home, hosting an eternal silent gathering. Perhaps Mrs. Shipley oversees her gardens from an unseen window, or Mr. Shipley lingers in his study. Their presence is a persistent whisper, a tangible chill, a subtle reminder that some attachments transcend the veil of death. The weight of their history presses down, creating an atmosphere thick with colonial unease and the quiet dread of eternal confinement. The phantom melody of a piano plays itself in the music room. A fleeting shadow darts across a polished mirror. Forever an unending family reunion where the departed are perpetually present, inviting you to witness their timeless, silent existence. Yet, if the spirits of Rockwood choose to inhabit their ancestral home in such a dignified, if unsettling manner, what violent, intimate disturbances might await those who seek only a night's rest in a different, equally storied seaside retreat? 2. The Addy Seabed and Breakfast, Bethany Beach, Delaware under the placid gaze of the Atlantic. The Addy Seabed and Breakfast in Bethany Beach presents an idyllic facade, its Victorian charm promising a tranquil seaside escape. Yet, within its seemingly serene walls, whispers persist of rooms where the boundary between sleep and terror blurs, and guests become unwilling participants in the unending dramas of the spectral. Here, the haunting is not a distant echo, but an intimate, terrifying presence. Accounts from bewildered and terrified guests paint a vivid picture of intense paranormal activity. Bed sheets are found rumpled and tossed as if an invisible struggle took place in the dead of night, while unseen hands are said to tug at sleepers, sometimes dragging them from their beds with chilling force. In the dead of night, the distant-drawn melancholic strains of a piano can be heard, its keys played by no visible musician, weaving mournful melodies through the hushed corridors. Objects on nightstands or dressers might subtly shift, or even tumble to the floor, as if a mischievous to unseen resident is asserting its dominion. The cold touch of an unseen hand on a bare arm, the pervasive sensation of being watched from a darkened corner, or the faint, ethereal scent of forgotten perfumes. These are the unsettling courtesies of the spectral inhabitants. Each guest becomes a character in a perpetual Southern Gothic tale, their private moments invaded by entities bound to these coastal chambers, their tragic personal histories forever entangled with the living. A rumpled bed, a spectral lullaby echoing down an empty hall, serve as a chilling reminder to book a room at the Addy Sea is not merely to find lodging, but to inadvertently accept an invitation into a persistent, unsettling narrative, a story where the dead are very much alive. But if a mere bed and breakfast can hold such intimate, unsettling terrors, what unspeakable suffering and restless anguish must cling to the very stones of a place where thousands faced imprisonment, death, and despair in the crucible of war. 1. Fort Delaware State Park, Pea Patch Island, Delaware. On the desolate expanse of Pea Patch Island, shrouded in the mists that rise from the Delaware River, Fort Delaware stands as a formidable stone-hewn tomb, a grim, unyielding monument to the Civil War, within its impenetrable walls built to withstand cannon fire. An untold number of souls met their agonizing end, their suffering a persistent, palpable chill that seeps from the very stones. This former prison of war camp, where thousands of Confederate soldiers languished in horrific conditions, is a crucible of enduring despair. Hundreds perished from starvation, disease, and neglect, their last breaths dissolving into the damp, chilling air, their anguish indelibly etched into the fort's very foundations. Visitors and park staff frequently recount chilling, undeniable encounters. Shadowy figures are seen darting between cannon emplacements or lingering in the dark confines of the casemates. Fleeting apparitions of men long dead, whispering voices like dying prayers or desperate pleas, materialize from the thin air, sometimes escalating into agonized screams that tear through the silence of the island night, a chorus of past torment. Most unnerving are the reports of physical contact, the cold, skeletal touch of an unseen hand brushing against an arm, or the distinct sensation of being grabbed, a desperate plea from a forgotten prisoner. The pervasive scent of long-dead campfires and stale confinement clings to the stone, reinforcing the sense of being trapped within a forgotten time. The spectral clanking of iron chains, a faint, lingering moan from the deepest shadows, these are the timeless echoes of an earthly hell. Fort Delaware remains a grim testament that here, the soldiers were never truly liberated from their war, nor from their profound, unending suffering. It is a place where history doesn't just whisper, it screams. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this chilling journey, don't forget to like, comment with your favorite haunted location, and subscribe for more weekly videos from the shadows.